taxable real estate removed from our rolls. So we got a little issue with that. And the idea of having an eminent domain action outside of your municipality, I'm completely at sea on how that would be authorized, but their attorney seems to think that it's okay. So I think at some juncture here, we're gonna have to engage them in a conversation and probably enlist some legal aid to help us walk through this. And I don't know why they need to own the property to clean it up. And if it's an expansion of their septic system, now it's an industrial use of 5 acres. And there's a lot of questions on the table here, and I don't know. And actually, what I was told by the town manager was that this 5 acres doesn't qualify, it's not a gravel deposit. That's one of the reasons why they're negotiating the prices. So they needed a gravel deposit to facilitate their direct injection wells. But this isn't a gravel, so it can't be an expansion of the. And I don't know that
My understanding is that this was land that was contaminated when their rapid infiltration system didn't work properly. The effluent, instead of staying underground, broke out. And part of where it broke out is in this 5 acres of land. And by agreement with the state, they have to clean it up. And so they're looking to purchase it to clean it up. I don't know why you have to purchase it to clean it
Yeah, I
up.
don't either. I don't know why, whether or not our Conservation Commission was informed of a pollution spill on that 5 acres, or I don't remember any notification coming through this office that 5 acres was contaminated.
It's my understanding that the town of Wolfboro has worked with the town, has been in communication with the Conservation Commission. I know that I've walked the area a couple times at the.
Well, I know that there's been talk about, because that's the headwaters of 19 Mile Brook. And so that testing of that water and the watershed plan, I know there's been conversations about that. But I'm with Bill on this. If they have a cleanup to do, they can do it on.
Don't understand why they
don't
need to
own it.
Yeah, and again, I know they have an agreement with DES on a way forward to clean up all this stuff. I don't know if part of what they did with DES said, we're gonna buy up the land that needs to be cleaned up. But I appreciate that the town manager got a hold of us to give us advance notice that they're gonna have a hearing in late March. I was not aware of anything before that as it related to trying to purchase this land or clean it up. I mean, clearly it needs to be cleaned up. Why it has to be purchased to be cleaned up, don't know. And I share your lack of understanding about, if there's discussion about doing an eminent domain, how does that work when you go outside of your own boundaries to do it? Is it possible? Is it?
I mean, I look at, we could decide tomorrow that we need to have a larger public beach, and a perfect one would be in the town of Wolfboro, where we could start an eminent domain taking of a public beach or a lakefront property in Wolfboro. I mean, that's how ridiculous this could become. If we could exercise or Ossipee, for instance, let's say Ann Hackle decided that she wanted more of the land in the mountains up there for the conservation of the Ossipee Mountains, but they couldn't come to an agreement with the Ossipee landowner. Could we just do an eminent domain over there on Ossipee and take the property? I mean, it just becomes really a chaotic way of doing it. But I think more importantly, they need to just clean it up and leave it comfortable, I think.
It's a work in progress, right?
Yep.
It's certainly,
And out of courtey,
it's why they pay us the big
no,
bucks.
they didn't
right?
get us on the telephone and,
Yeah, no,
and have been a good neighbor in that request.
I certainly can't say any bad things about the town manager and his conversations with us. I just think that
It's a work in
their
progress.
direction's a little misguided, maybe.
Okay. Anything under Selectmen's update?
About a budget.
I just had a question. Are we okay on our legal budget? That's nothing we have to worry about.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Okay, we'll go on to
I guess
correspondence.
my opinion is that we have sufficient, we put sufficient in there. I mean, something can come down the road that's just way out there, but,
yeah.
you know,
Like this.
I don't think you want to build a budget around a,
No, I just was thinking this is
all of
a
these,
one.
you know, potential speculative things that
Here's the question too, if I may ask this question. So the town manager told you there will be a hearing,
yeah.
and maybe Dave Ford is the person to talk to about what the purpose is and how that works. I understand the whole place is going to be dried out, starting in the spring. They're going to be shutting everything down. They're going to be using alternate means because, you know, they're doing pilot programs and all that stuff with the money that they got from their settlement. They got $7 million in a settlement, and so he's the one to talk to, I think,
Yeah.
before a hearing.
Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. First item is the coalition proposal. Are the selectmen taking part in the coalition? I assume this has to do with the,
This is the Fairpoint question.
no, this is the one I believe who,
That's the school funding.
The school
Oh,
funding
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, the donor town.
1802 or 1803.
What are your thoughts, gentlemen? I know when I first came on the Board of Selectmen, we sent a representative to that. It was out of Portsmouth, and there was an individual that was very up to date on all that. She's retired, and I supported it, but I think we actually made a cash donation every year. I don't know if it was $1,000 or whatever. And
But that was after a law had been passed,
yes,
and there was a lawsuit. This is prior to the law being passed.
Right.
yes.
So, I mean, I can appreciate them wanting to have as many voices against it as possible, but I don't know that the coalition's got any work to do until there's actually been a law passed
Right.
or signed into law.
The only thing that is helpful to us, even though it's,
And what she suggested is that the communities reach out to members of the Ways and Means Committee in the House where this bill is going to be presented and let our feelings be known on it. This is a bill in the House that would take the excess donor town tax money that currently comes back and stays here and would take it all to Concord and would cost the town of Tuftonboro, I don't know that I have the whole thing here,
A little over $1 million
a year
a year.
in additional taxes
Taxes.
for school donors.
Is this the bill that Jack Widmore at Saturday's meeting at the
Yes,
library
I believe,
reported was killed in committee unanimously?
no, this is
Not
a
the same
different
bill.
bill. The one that was killed in committee was the one that
Change the form.
would change the consolidated school district
Formula.
taxing structure, would dictate from the state how every consolidated school district has to collect taxes from their member communities rather than allow the existing arrangements to continue. This is a bill that I'm not that familiar with the mechanism, but we have a statewide education property tax.
Yes, we do.
And a portion of that money goes to the state, and a portion of it stays with the school district.
It's my
This
understanding.
would take the piece that stays with the school district and take it to Concord. In other words, it takes more money from the local community to the state, and then they'll just redistribute it
Well,
wherever they.
I mean, one of the problems with the bill as it stands is that it takes the money and puts it in the general fund. So there's a conversation going on in Concord of putting it just in the educational trust fund. And that question hasn't been answered, but I mean, it's an easy way to balance the budget if you can just take $1 million from here, $1 million from there, and put it in the
Well,
general fund.
Right.
But from our standpoint, it does increase the need at the Governor Wentworth's regional school budget of $1 million a year. Because it's $1 million that isn't here, it's gone. So, I mean, it effectively would increase our property taxes in Tuftonboro by close to 30%.
I'm again that.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that,
Well, attached to this correspondence, there are copies of letters that some communities have sent to the Ways and Means Committee. And I would be happy to work up a draft of something for us to send as well, in case there's any lack of clarity at the state level that the towns that our donor towns really don't have a lot of appetite for sending additional money to Concord.
The nice thing about the current system is the extra money in the statewide real estate tax, we are able to send that directly to our school district.
right,
It currently doesn't go floating off someplace else.
to Concord and back.
That-
And I mean, I guess the risk is that all Concord is currently liable for, if you will, is what, $3,600 a student. So they could effectively take $2 million from Tuftonboro and send us back $300,000 and call it good.
Need that new math.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets, and I'm not against public education, I think it's absolutely imperative to have a well-educated populace. But I think the state government's always gotten it wrong. They've never wanted to do it right. And the problem that these towns have, who are complaining, it's not about Tuftonboro, it's about towns like Amherst, or other big towns who are getting money
Are there any requirements off the
you know,
building?
maybe from a current population average income standpoint or property value standpoint, they don't deserve. So it's a flawed system that we've got in place.
And I guess I will only offer a larger perspective, having lived in a number of states, and every place I've lived, it's been an issue. You know, you have areas that have greater needs and fewer resources, and other ones, and it's always how do you get it right so that people have an opportunity for a good education.
Regardless of where they live.
Right, without the punitive Robin Hood effect of squeezing a lot over here to spread it around. So I'll be happy to draft a letter, and we could send that off.
Can you put that on our next agenda? Okay.
Sure.
You want to give me that
Yep.
correspondence, and I'll work from that. Thank you.
Next item is, we tabled at our last meeting the chief's review of the ordinance. Has he got back to us with any changes?
No, he has his update at the, I think the 26th today. So I don't know.
That's the parking ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be prepared for that.
You
I'm
know,
not
this
sure.
is my thought. On the planning board, when they make a change, they change the entire section of it. Here, it was refer to this, refer to that.
And I did mention that to
You
him.
know, I'm just wondering if now is the time to update everything so it's streamlined. So we don't have to go.
And my understanding is that's the intent of this, is to replace the other ones.
Yes.
But, you know, with our land use regulations in town, as we embrace changes to it, we're not taking the whole thing and replacing it, which is what we're doing here.
Yes.
We're inserting new wording, we're deleting wording, so to try and do a line by line off of this is, because it doesn't track exactly with the old one, might be a difficult thing to
What are we
do.
suggesting?
So what are you suggesting?
Well,
That we have a two-tier system?
No, not at all. My understanding is, I think from what he's talking here, this is a new regulation that replaces the stuff in the past. So if we want to thoroughly understand it all, we need to kind of lay them out and look at them together. But rather than trying to insert new wording in the old one and then line out all the old stuff, because I don't think it specifically follows.
And how do we proceed?
I'm sorry?
How do we proceed?
Review the new one against the old.
So what was the chief supposed to come in with? What was your expectation, I guess, that's my question.
I'll go back to my notes, but I said, can we revamp all of the different,
So your expectation was the
Because what-
chief was gonna do that?
yes, or at least work with someone. I mean, as I went around town, it was pointed out to me, there are different times on this dock and that
Right.
dock.
Yeah, and my understanding is that this draft is an attempt to be comprehensive,
Yes,
to address all of the areas that people park boats and cars,
yes.
and the way we control it and the hours that they're available for parking.
And we also have adjacent parking areas that he's been working on.
Okay.
We'll send it back to him. Next item is from the transfer station. They got their new piece of equipment, the snow pusher, and it's working well. We have the January hours of the police department. We have a letter from James St. Jean, who's the auctioneer, offering his services for selling town tax deeded property. I have a whole bunch of other, I'm gonna say, normal paperwork. You folks have all read it. That's it for correspondence. Any other business? I typed up one of the job performance reviews for your review. Anything else of town business?
There was one thing,
When it comes to you,
but I ran out through.
Yeah.
anything else from the public?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Political signs. So we're at the top of the hill, everybody's out front with their holding their signs, which is all fine and well. And then there's a mess of them stuck in the snowbanks, so those should be removed. Dan's gotta go out and remove them, right?
Is that at the polling place?
Yes,
He's responsible.
Right.
it's all on you,
Did you
Dan.
understand
I
his
didn't
question?
understand what his comment was.
Oh, I'm
He-
sorry.
He's talking about the signs that are placed in the snowbank outside the polls on election day. And
That's
my
public
recollection is that you monitor that to make sure that it complies with the law.
That's correct, and the Attorney General's office 2 years ago came by and reminded me that unattended signs are not permitted, even in the electioneering zone at the polling place. So it's perfectly legal to hold a sign or have a sign attended. I think that was the question that the AG had, is a sign stuck in the snow and somebody sitting in a chair next to it. Is that sign attended? And I think it is, but that really was a small point.
But if the campaigner has a sign stuck in the snow and leaves to go to lunch, then it's not attended any
Then
longer.
it's
and
not
it
attended
needs to be
any longer.
removed.
It needs to be removed. That's correct.
Thank you.
Speaking of the school system, the Lakes Region Technology Center has Tech Week. And so every day they have special things going on. And I think there is an action day where they show students at work in their classes. Could be precision engineering or collision technology. I don't know specifically which ones, but other times they've been making ice sculptures. It's fun. It's informative.
Well, the VOTEC has done a lot for the town of Tufton Borough. I can think of 4 things off the top of my head. Cleared almost a half acre of land and removed the junk cars a few years ago. They worked with other citizens. Number 2 is, in the conservation room, you can look at a piece of furniture with adjustable shelves. It's a pretty significant, interesting piece of furniture. They have done projects on roads that aren't through roads. For example, Zadidar Farms, they cut the brush, so Jim just had to come along and chip it. And their most recent thing that they did was a 10 by 10 building for the fire department that matched the fire station, but it's a place to put the snow blower and, winter seasonal maintenance equipment, so it's not dripping gas in the fire station. So
They also have a student who goes to the fire station and works with Adam as
they
it's a
also
learning
have,
experience.
they have a junior firefighter, and they also have
Yeah.
a school to work.
Yeah.
Good kids, good young men. Yes, they've certainly been a partner to Tufton Borough.
One thing that I forgot to bring up, at the last budget meeting, there was a lot of conversation and some paperwork passed around about the master plan. So we should get together a definitive statement on this status of the master plan.
Okay.
And somebody, I don't know why that questionnaire that went around became a
It was
hot
the results
topic.
of the survey one of the members put out, wanted
Right.
us to
So we need to,
be there.
yeah.
I said in the audience at that meeting, and this is Lloyd Wood speaking, if I have an issue about the style or the character or the work product of CIP or master plan, it's up to me to go to the chairman or to go, the forum is not the budget committee to be the leader there. And but
You're right.
no, I will say that if someone wants to come in and talk about town government or have a constructive criticism,
they were
that they can make an appointment and come see us.
We were directed back to the planning
Right.
board and that.
But it was, I mean, I don't think it was completely out of left field. I mean, one way of dealing with an issue is to direct yourself towards the money, and that was what they were doing, was let's defund this thing if it's not working.
But I think there were questions about CIP. How could CIP go forward with these recommendations based on this survey? But CIP goes forward based on the current master plan. In addition, CIP is advisory, so we can't say no to this and yes to that based only by this, on this survey.
Right, and this notion that when you're doing a master plan review or renewal, the minute you state you're gonna do that, the old master plan becomes null and void. And we're currently
No,
operating
we're-
under the old master plan.
Exactly.
Correct.
Until a new one's
It's
passed.
like remodeling your house, you don't move out entirely.
Although you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm right.
But I think it'll eventually get to where, but it might be brought up at town meeting is
Yeah,
my
just so
understanding.
we're-
Sure.
So,
Anything else for the public? Okay, do we want to review that job performance review that I wrote up, or not do it today?
I haven't read it. Do you want to read it today? I mean, I don't have a problem doing it, but do we need to vote on anything, or just?
It's, I just went and got it done, so it's not hanging.
Or we can give it
do you need
back to
your
the employee?
crutch?
Well,
Do you want me to get your crutch?
once we
Thank you.
do what we've
Once I
done,
get
then
up
we
right
must
on,
have a
okay.
meeting with the employee. Yeah.
We're assuming you're done, we're leaving.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So,
If you want to review it, if you can just move to go into non-public.
I will so move, and the RSA is to discuss job performance.
Yeah, I can get it from.
91A3, Roman numeral 2, parent A.
Just someone think
The
about
motion is
that.
made.
Second.
Wood, yes?
Marcus, yes?
I'll be yes.
Thank you.
Jack will.
Check the collective, we'll be all set for service, and I'll just get the warrant articles from you.
Okay, well, I'm going to email them to you.